Have you ever felt like time is slipping away faster and faster? You wake up one morning, look in the mirror and wonder, when did I become this person? Maybe you've got a good job, a stable life, yet there's this emptiness, this sense that you're living someone else's story. You're not alone. We call it a midlife crisis, but what if it's not a crisis at all? What if it's your brain's desperate attempt to wake you up, a final push to make you see what really matters before the years disappear for good? This isn't just about buying a flashy car or quitting your job to travel the world. No, it's deeper, hidden in the folds of your mind, neurons, hormones, and memories colliding in a perfect storm. And for many of us, it hits in our 40s or 50s, leaving us gasping for meaning. But what exactly is happening inside your brain during this time? Why does it feel like your dreams have faded? And is there really a way to navigate this confusing chapter without destroying everything you've built? Stay with me. Let's decode what's really happening to your brain when midlife hits, and how it might be the key to the most meaningful years of your life. Imagine your brain as a living, breathing network of billions of neurons, each firing messages across a vast landscape. In your 20s and 30s, this network is buzzing with ambition, curiosity, and the hunger to build a life. You chase goals, fueled by dopamine, the reward chemical. Every achievement, every milestone releases a small flood of pleasure that drives you forward. But as you enter your 40s, something shifts. Research shows that dopamine levels naturally decline with age. Those same achievements, promotions, relationships, accolades, no longer give you the same rush. It's like chasing a sunset that never comes. You keep running, but the colors fade. At the same time, your brain structure is changing. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and decision-making, is at its peak strength. You're sharper, more decisive, but that clarity comes at a cost. It brings a sobering awareness of mortality. You start to see the limits of your time and energy. You realize that not every door will open again, and the weight of missed chances begins to press in. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the fear center of your brain, becomes more reactive. Studies show it's why many people in midlife start to experience anxiety they never noticed before. Little things that once rolled off your back now echo in your mind. And as the amygdala becomes more sensitive, it works overtime to warn you of every risk, real or imagined. Your hippocampus, the memory hub, also starts to falter. Names slip away. Memories of your wild 20s feel like old photographs you can barely recognize. The loss of these memories isn't just about forgetting, it's about losing touch with who you used to be. All of this combines to create a perfect storm in the midlife brain, a decline in reward, a spike in fear, and a growing sense of time running out. This storm doesn't just stay in your brain, it seeps into your daily life. You start to question your choices. That job you once thought was everything, now it feels like a prison. The relationships you built so carefully, they might feel stale or unfulfilling. You might catch yourself fantasizing about radical change, starting over, chasing a dream you'd long buried. You might feel trapped between responsibility and longing, wanting to be reckless but scared of the consequences. This is where the term midlife crisis was born, an attempt to explain the chaos. But it's not a sudden event. It's a slow burn, a gradual disillusionment with the stories you've told yourself. Psychologists have found that around midlife, many people experience what they call the U-curve of happiness. Early adulthood is a climb, a time of hope and optimism. But by midlife, there's often a dip, a valley where life feels heavy, even if on paper everything seems fine. It's a quiet despair, a feeling that nothing can surprise you anymore. Yet here's the strange thing. This valley doesn't last forever. Studies show that after this low point, happiness often begins to climb again in later life. But for now, you're in the thick of it, fighting a silent battle with your own expectations. If you've ever wondered why midlife feels like such a turning point, look to evolution. Biologists suggest that these feelings aren't random. They're part of our survival blueprint. In early human tribes, midlife wasn't just a time of decline. It was a time to reassess, to contribute wisdom to the younger generation. This internal restlessness was an evolutionary nudge. Find new ways to stay relevant, to pass on knowledge, to shape the tribe's future. Your brain is still wired for this. The midlife crisis is your biology telling you, you're not done yet. You've built a life. Now find what truly matters in it. This is the heart of the midlife crisis, an existential, puzzle. What is my purpose now? For some, it leads to radical changes, new careers, new relationships, a return to long-lost passions. For others, it's more subtle, an internal reckoning that reshapes their priorities. Neuroscientists say that as the dopamine highs of youth fade, the brain starts to crave something deeper, meaning. Purpose becomes more important than pleasure, and this shift can be disorienting. It's like waking up in a new land without a map. So if you're in this stage of life, remember, it's not just you. It's a real, measurable transformation inside your brain. It's messy, it's painful, but it's also a chance to redefine success, a chance to let go of old dreams that never fit, a chance to reconnect with what truly moves you. Because this isn't the end, it's a doorway, and what lies beyond depends on how willing you are to face the storm inside your mind and step through it. The midlife brain isn't just about loss, it's also about renewal. When you understand what's happening beneath the surface, you can turn this storm into a season of growth. Let's start with the neuroscience of change. Inside your brain, there's a process called neuroplasticity, the ability of your neurons to form new connections. It's how you learn new skills, adapt to challenges, and even heal from old wounds. For years, scientists believed neuroplasticity faded after youth, but we now know that's not true. Even in your 40s, 50s, and beyond, your brain can rewire itself. This means that despite the dip in dopamine, despite the shrinking hippocampus and the noisy amygdala, your brain is still capable of transformation. It's not as quick or easy as in your 20s, but it's there, a hidden potential, waiting for you to claim it. So how do you unlock that potential? It begins with your perspective. Psychologists call this the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset sees the midlife crisis as a death sentence for your dreams, proof that you've peaked and can never recapture the fire of youth. But a growth mindset sees it as an invitation, a chance to break free from old patterns and reimagine your life. This mindset isn't just motivational fluff, it has real effects on the brain. Studies show that people who believe they can grow and change actually activate more plasticity-related genes. In other words, the story you tell yourself about your brain shapes what your brain becomes. This isn't just about biology, it's about meaning. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, wrote that when we can't change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In midlife, many people find themselves stuck in roles that no longer fit. Maybe you're a parent whose children are growing up, or a professional who's mastered the game but lost the spark. You can't change the past, but you can change your relationship to it. Psychologists call this process meaning-making. It's how we weave the random events of our lives into a story that matters. When you look back at your youth, you might see wild ambition. When you look at your present, you might see exhaustion. But the trick is to see it all as a journey, a story of evolution, not decline. Midlife doesn't just bring crisis, it brings wisdom. Brain scans reveal that as the prefrontal cortex matures, it becomes better at integrating emotional and rational thinking. This is why older adults are often more empathetic and nuanced in their decisions. They see the bigger picture. You've probably noticed it in your own life. You don't get rattled by every setback the way you once did. You're able to see that most crises pass, that most worries are illusions. This calm, this clarity, it's one of the greatest gifts of midlife. But here's the paradox. Wisdom can feel like a curse if you're still clinging to old dreams. To embrace this new chapter, you have to let go of the myth of perpetual youth, the idea that your best years are always behind you. Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. Your brain's journey through midlife is shaped by your body's chemistry. Men and women both experience hormonal shifts that can amplify the midlife crisis. For men, testosterone levels decline gradually, changing everything from energy to mood to motivation. For women, menopause brings a sharper drop in estrogen and progesterone, often triggering mood swings, brain fog, and sleep issues. These shifts aren't just annoyances, they're signals from your body. They tell you it's time to adapt, to listen to your body's new rhythms rather than fighting them. So what can you do to harness these changes and steer your brain toward renewal? Let's explore some powerful practices that have been shown to boost midlife brain health. 1. Prioritize sleep. Sleep is the foundation of a healthy brain, especially in midlife. Chronic sleep deprivation amplifies the fear response of the amygdala and impairs memory consolidation in the hippocampus. Make sleep sacred, 7 to 9 hours a night in a dark, quiet room. 2. Exercise your body and mind. Exercise increases neurogenesis, your brain's ability to grow new neurons. Aim for a mix of aerobic exercise, strength training, and mind-body practices like yoga. And don't forget to exercise your mind. Learn new skills, tackle puzzles, read widely. 3. Seek connection. Social relationships are powerful brain medicine. Studies show that deep, meaningful connections reduce midlife depression and anxiety. Whether it's family, friends, or a community you care about, these bonds can pull you out of the midlife valley. 4. Reconnect with purpose. Find a mission that speaks to you. It doesn't have to be world-changing. Maybe it's mentoring younger colleagues, volunteering in your community, or rediscovering a passion you set aside years ago. Purpose activates the brain's reward centers in ways that pleasure alone never can. 5. Embrace change. Don't fight it. Instead of resisting change, lean into it. Neuroscience shows that novelty and challenge keep the brain engaged and flexible. So whether it's learning to play an instrument, starting a new hobby, or traveling somewhere new, say yes to the unfamiliar. As you do these things, something remarkable happens. Your brain begins to heal itself. The same structures that once felt like they were betraying you, like the shrinking dopamine response, start to adapt. You begin to see midlife not as an ending, but as a second adolescence, a time to reinvent yourself with the wisdom of experience. This is the real message of the midlife crisis. Decoded. Your brain isn't broken. It's calling you to evolve, to shed what no longer fits, to become the person you were always meant to be, beyond the roles and expectations you carried for so long. Midlife isn't just a crisis, it's a crossroads. The same brain structures that once caused turmoil can now be harnessed for growth. This is the moment where you can choose to reinvent yourself, to step away from the roles and expectations that no longer serve you and embrace a new chapter of life. Consider the story of Julia. In her early 40s, she felt the crushing weight of monotony, a career she had outgrown, relationships that felt stale. She was haunted by the thought, is this all there is? But instead of running from the discomfort, Julia leaned in. She took a sabbatical and learned to paint, something she'd loved as a child, but abandoned in the rush of adulthood. At first, it was awkward and messy, but in those hours of color and canvas, her brain began to spark again. She found not just a hobby, but a new way of seeing herself. Then there's Daniel, a corporate executive who, at 50, realized he'd spent decades chasing promotions that never filled the void. He shifted his focus from climbing the ladder to mentoring young professionals, offering them the wisdom he'd gathered over the years. In giving back, he found a new sense of vitality. His brain's reward centers lit up not from status but from purpose. These aren't just feel-good stories. They're proof that the brain can adapt and thrive in midlife if we're willing to pivot our focus and embrace a fresh perspective. So how can you create your own midlife transformation? Start by auditing your life. Ask yourself, what parts of my life feel alive? What feels stale? Be brutally honest. This self-inventory can reveal where you're stuck and where you're hungry for growth. Then identify your core values. Midlife is a chance to strip away what doesn't matter. What are the values that make you feel most like you? Creativity, connection, adventure, whatever it is, write them down. Let them guide your next steps. Experiment boldly. Don't wait for certainty. The brain craves novelty, so give it to yourself. Sign up for that class, take that trip, start that project. Small risks build big confidence. Prioritize relationships. In midlife, depth matters more than breadth. Nurture the relationships that feed your soul, and cut ties with the ones that drain it. And above all, accept that you're still growing. The final key is acceptance. Midlife is not a final chapter. It's a rewrite. Give yourself permission to evolve. The brain's plasticity is still there, but you have to meet it halfway. At this stage, the brain is more integrated, more emotionally balanced. You see the world in shades of gray, not black and white. You know that life's greatest truths are not found in the chase for status or youth, but in the quiet moments of purpose and presence. This is your chance to craft a legacy not of titles or trophies, but of impact, of a life that feels real and whole. The crisis of midlife becomes a calling, pulling you toward the person you were always meant to be. If this resonates with you, if you feel that stirring inside to reinvent and rediscover yourself, then join us. Subscribe to our channel for more insights, deep dives, and real stories to help you navigate your own midlife renaissance.